In this lesson, we will talk about the real-time coordinator dashboard. The main dashboard, as we can see over here, as you log in as a real-time coordinator, will be the landing page for this particular role. The main view contains spreadsheets and graphs for both intraday and weekly contact type information. This contact type information can be seen by program overall, or we can filter it down by specific contact types once we have selected the program at the top. The intraday portion will show a spreadsheet for agent forecast, which is this one over here, or by call volume forecast. If we take a look at the agent forecast, and this one is intraday specifically for the day, we can see information such as the intraday agent forecast. We can see the agent forecast in general. We can see the staffed portion, which is the equivalent of our schedule open. We can see our different variances, both presented in integer numbers or variance by percentage. Every single one of these pieces of data will be showed per interval, specifically hourly intervals. At the bottom of the page, we will see these two graphs. The first one is cumulative day, and the next one will show the specific moment of the day. If we hover over total hours, as we see in the graph, we will see the total number of hours agents are scheduled. We can also see the same detail for work hours, which will be the number of hours agents are actually at the workstation and working. And as time goes by, we will see exception hours. These exception hours will be pretty much a detail of the amount of time agents are at work but not actually working at the workstation. And we can see them by detail, in this case, exception hours, that show us the planned exception hours and unplanned. We can see totals as we hover over each one of these columns. The work hours per specific interval will be showed in this particular fashion. And these two graphs complement pretty much the information that we see at the top. As we switch the screen to call volume, as we can see here, we will see this particular pieces of information. We have our intraday calls forecast, we have our original calls forecast, actual calls received, the forecast to actual variance, and the forecast to actual percentage. This information is likewise showed per hour, and the graphs at the bottom pretty much have the same information as mentioned before, where we can see the total hours, so nothing changes in that regard. If the graphs at the bottom for some reason do not load, there will be a button, a refresh button, similar to the one we see here at the top, that you can use to refresh the screen. By clicking on the weekly tab, we're looking at one of the most interesting parts of this dashboard. We will see two graphs. This one has two different sets of data, specifically the agent required hours and agent scheduled hours. If we hover over it, we can start seeing details and exact amounts. By clicking on each one of these dots that represent each one of the upcoming days, we will see details per day shortly. We can decide to apply shrinkage. This is something we set up at the program level. And we can also see the variance section. Now, let's say I click on what Thursday is going to look like. The system will show me a detail per interval of what the relationship is between our agent required hours and our agent scheduled hours. We can also expand the details by looking at this graph below, showing us our agent forecast, our schedule open or staffed in this case, and the variances, very similar to the way the daily tab shows us this information. And furthermore, I can see more information by just clicking and dragging a little bit to capture information for specific intervals like so. We can see the information for each one of these intervals by just hovering over them on each one of the dots here. And from here, I can include staffing adjustments. I can reset my view by just clicking on this reset button, which takes me back to the original graph showing me the different intervals of the day. And if I need to see the weekly again, all it takes is a click on the weekly tab once again to go back to the previous screen. These are the graphs in the real-time coordinator dashboard.